Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I don't think Anna's going to be here. She had a
Yep.
death in the family. She sent us that last week, I think. So, given that, call the meeting to order at 5:03. And I'll start by introducing Phil Parker. He's attending the meeting tonight to see what we do and see if he'd be interested in joining us. Phil, I don't know if you want to give us a little bit of background of what I think you have expertise in.
Hi, everybody. I don't know if I necessarily have buildings expertise. I've just an amateur backyard kind of project guy. So that's the extent of my building experience, really. So just here today to kind of learn more about the committee and see what you guys do, and I don't know, maybe think about joining.
Sounds good. Okay, so we'll review the minutes from September the 18th and then the 2nd of October. I took a look at them, made a few minor changes. Anybody else? Jeff, you have anything?
When did you make the changes? I only saw one, towards the bottom, there was this, I think it was item 6 or 8, I forget. There was a sentence that was a little strange, and I don't have it in front of me. Did that
For
get
the
picked up?
18th or the 2nd?
Pardon?
Which set of minutes?
18th.
Well, the last thing there is Becky mentioned the conditions of the front and back doors at Town Hall needing attention. Jeff asked where we were on the spreadsheet to prioritize the doors. Maybe that's what was a little odd.
What's the bullet above that?
Becky mentioned that, that was the continued discussion about the Historic Commission's proposal to erect a gazebo. And the last sentence there was after editing the letter Jeff motioned to approve the letter that would be sent to the select board and copied to the Historic Commission.
Yeah, is motion spelled correctly?
No.
That's okay.
It didn't come up on spell correct.
Yeah. TION.
Other than that, it was fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So do I hear a motion to approve the minutes
I
from
make a
the
motion to approve the minutes.
18th?
I'll second it.
All in favor? McGinn,
Aye.
Quackenbush,
All right.
Dalmas, aye. Okay, moving on to October the 2nd.
I make a motion to approve this, the second.
Second.
All in favor, McGinn,
Aye.
Quackenbush,
All right.
Dalmas, aye. Thank you. Okay. Jeff, you want to give an update on the roof repair at the fire department?
The fire department?
The fire department, what we did at the fire department.
Yeah, there were 3 crazy guys on the roof. Wandering around. And we replaced all the shingle at the cap and the vent. And then a little additional work at the antenna at connection to the top of the building. And we did I did a little work on the shingles that are still on the roof, putting goop in some of the tears and some of the areas where it's not looking so great. But the shingles are not in great condition. They're not ready to come off yet, but it will be something down the road.
Right. I would think they've got at least 5 to 10 years in them.
Yeah. At
And
least
they're
the 5.
20-year shingles?
No, they're architectural shingles, and I think that they've probably been on there 20 years, given the ridge cap shingles were the ones that had really taken a beating, and the felt was exposed on a lot of those.
Mhm.
You know, I don't think they were the same quality as the shingles that are on the roof.
And we haven't done the siding repair yet on the fire station, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I should touch base with Russ, see if he's ready to schedule that.
Yeah, he said 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Guess we're gonna wait for a cold day.
Okay, recap on the crawl space inspection at Old Town Hall. So a week or so ago, Anna and I met there. And first we went into Old Town Hall, and I had my 4-foot level. And we just kind of got a sense of how much settlement there was, which was quite a bit once you get towards the back third of the original part of the building. It's going, down, and then it's going side to side. So then we went down in the crawl space with the level and spent a good bit of time looking for something that would explain, what caused or allowed for all that settlement. And we could not find anything suggesting any kind of real structural event or issue. The one thing that we noted is that the back wall of the building was replaced first partially to put the vault in, and that's a poured concrete foundation. And then that addition that has the 2 small bathrooms in the kitchen, which is concrete block. And one possibility, never know, is that something was happening or it happened to the back wall that let the framing members, the beams that are supported by that wall, sag or settle.
And when you say back wall, you mean back wall of the original building?
Correct.
Okay. Want to make sure I got that right. Okay.
Yeah, but the actual timbers all look fine. Some of the vertical supports that sit on stones on the ground are a little questionable, but there's nothing that suggests that there's been any real settlement in terms of the member that they're supporting above. So it seems quite stable to us. And I think you and I, when we were there one day, Jeff, and we were walking around the outside on the north side, there's a significant depression and some loose stone that we saw. And when we were in the crawl space, when Anna and I were in the crawl space, that seems to be where the water that I had noted on a previous visit is entering, because the soil is damp, leading down to where there had been standing water.
What year was that building built? 1800 something?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
It's got a date on it on the outside, but I don't remember.
1826,
That sounds, yeah.
So a
right?
little settling
Alan, coming up on
after they made
200.
it, was probably typical back then.
Well, it's almost 200 years old.
Yeah.
I'm better than I will at 200 years old.
So I guess, in terms of what Anna and I looked at, as well as, you remember when we first reformed the committee, there was those monies, CPC grant to suck soil from out of the crawl space and then underpin the foundation. we didn't really see a reason that ought to be done. I mean, that doesn't, here's a 200-year-old building that the foundation really doesn't suggest that there's anything really going on.
The reason the previous building committee wanted to do that was in the future, if we were going to add a heating system and reuse the building, no one would go down there to put the HVAC system in because it wasn't big enough. So that was the that's what that's where they originally did the monies for, to do some type of blown air expansion or something like that. So that, no one would go on there to do anything, plumbing, anything. So the idea was, well, though someone came up with the idea is, well, if we hand dig it out, and no one wanted to ever do that. Well, people wanted to do it, but they didn't want to bid it, and they wanted to do it by the hour, and not give us a bid, to get that so that you could go underneath there and do work.
Mhm.
That was the
Is
original
that-
intent.
So is that money still available?
Yeah,
Yep.
sitting there.
But do we have to use it for that purpose?
Yes.
Oh, well, so-
And
forget it.
only that purpose.
Yeah, I would be very leery of going in there digging that out without better understanding, especially that center column that's
Mhm.
sitting on a bunch of rocks.
Right.
They were
know.
too. So they actually were, they had a quote from an engineer who had inspected it, and he came out to one of their meetings again. And they were going to work with him once they found somebody to dig out that area. And they never found anybody, so they never got to step B. But there is an engineer and there's a report that he made.
Do you know what the report says?
It says to dig out the basement, I'm pretty sure. Or I'll see what I can dig up.
Is there any kind of warnings in the report? Do you have if I were to come over the next couple of days, can I get a copy of it? The report?
How about you come on the 13th? No, I'm only kidding. Yes, I will find it.
All right. Let me know if you get it. If
Okay.
you find it.
Let me see if I can remember that engineer's name. That would help.
I don't. I'd have to go back through minutes.
How long ago are we talking? He did this report.
Well, it was
We-
probably 20 years since he actually wrote the report.
How many?
They had a recent conversation. I mean, the recent conversation was what, 4 years ago,
Mhm.
Frank?
Yep.
When there was a meeting outside of the old town hall. And Matthews was still on the committee. I'll
Okay.
find it. It's not like it's 200 years old as well.
Okay.
Okay, so,
Yeah. If you can find it, I'd like to see it.
okay. And I think a lot of their purpose was to create a new meeting space for use by the town. Is that right, Frank?
Something like that. Yeah, they wanted, in other words, right now there's a non-functioning space other than storage. And I think the gist was, if they could get it habitable and bring, and get more monies down the road and update the building down the road, it'd be a nice place to have a senior center was one idea. Yep, another meeting, but senior centers, I remember something like that. Well, we'd have to heat it or something.
Even though there's no parking.
Plenty of parking across the street on the common.
Oh, then the old people have to walk across the road. Okay.
Right, and they can't get in the building
Because the
Yeah.
because there's
I was
no,
gonna say, nowadays, I think if we were gonna change the use, which that's a change of use, yeah, we'd have to make it accessible.
Yeah,
No, I
That's what
think that's what they were avoiding. Because if it's a town hall and if the use doesn't change, I mean, if it stays a meeting room, they didn't have to bring it up to ADA standards.
Yeah, it'll be like, yeah.
There's a report on that from Jim Hawkins as well, I think, or at least
Okay.
some minutes about it. Maybe you should dig into the old building committee minutes.
Jeff.
Well, there's lots of things I should do in life.
Or maybe not. I'll see what I can find.
Well, I'm just wondering what code that, what level of, what addition of the code that is, but I'm not buying that just because somebody called it the old town hall that you can just go change it into something else. I think that's a change of use, but we would have to check that out.
Yes.
But at the present time, nobody's making any recommendations on what to do with the building anyways, right? I mean, there's no pressure from anybody to turn it into something right now.
No, not since the building committee committed to that project and then didn't.
Okay.
So you're in the driver's seat now.
Who's me?
Yeah.
Okay.
well, we can see what you find out when Becky gets you the engineer's report.
Yeah, and maybe I'll do a little walkie through the building code too. So, okay.
Okay, so moving on, update on the Historic Commission's request to erect the protective structure over the signboard after its renovation. There was another select board meeting that I attended where Merrill Mandel's husband, who is a wood expert, apparently consults around the country, maybe around the world, has offered his services to go to the company's place of business, which I think is that in Williamstown, Becky?
Yes. Yeah.
To talk to them about the best way to deal with certain issues, especially how it interfaces with the ground, to reduce the risk of rot and decay. In other words, this is all assuming that there's no gazebo built over it. This is to let it be out in the weather. Does that sound about right, Becky?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where that is right now.
And you don't know if he's done that.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
He has. Yeah.
Oh, he
He
did?
has. He
Okay.
submitted a full report. Did that report come to the building committee, Stephen?
I don't remember seeing any report.
I don't think I saw it either. I think it
That's what
only.
that's what he talked about during the meeting too, that he had talked about runoff, getting a very good base for it that was angled so the water would always go away, that there was no need for a gazebo. And I believe the select board voted on that, didn't they?
Yes.
Yeah, so they nixed it, the gazebo, and said they were going to go this route and from his recommendations. And it's just basically a good sloped concrete pad so that the water doesn't sit underneath it.
Okay. So they're
Okay,
talking a
so
pad.
the select board nixed a gazebo.
Yes.
Yeah. And the
Good.
pad, it'll sit up above the pad, so there'll be air circulation. It'll have it'll sit on some feet, so it's not directly on the pad. There'll be air circulation throughout the building.
And I think they were still thinking, trying to figure out what they were going to do with the roof of the structure, whether it would be lead again or copper or something else. So that's part of the historical people doing it. They hadn't figured out what they were doing there yet, but he felt comfortable that doing this, it will last while more than the rest of us will be around.
Okay.
So it's the next committee's responsibility.
Yeah, next
And-
generations.
Right.
Who's supposed to get this pad installed? Us or the historical guys?
Good question.
Uh,
Um,
I think it should be their responsibility, but it would be good if they had guidance.
Well, does his
Go
report
to the
have
high-
specifics about this pad? Like how it ought to be, say, design dimensions, how to create the airspace, how to create the runoff, all that.
Don't know.
I'm sorry, Steve, did you ask if that's in the report?
Yes,
I believe it is, but I will, I haven't seen the report either, so I'm gonna ask Rita to send it to the building committee.
great.
Um, and just as a reminder, do you think it'll be possible to end by 10 of tonight?
mhm.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Building projects.
Okay, next item, discuss budget request for fiscal year 2026. Last year, as part of that, I prepared, a document, future potential capital request. And I basically said, we're still inspecting buildings. When we're totally done, we'll prioritize everything. But here are a number of examples. And we have taken care of a couple of those, but things that were on that list were the MN Spear Library, or the chimney that is substantially deteriorated within the attic. We had the dam keeper shed, but we've taken care of that. At town hall, we had about the guardrail, which is loose or not in place. We had about the supports for the roof surfaces over the exits from the lower level meeting room and senior room, which had rotted components. And we're also suggesting gutter. And then there was large areas of loose and damaged bent siding. And I noted that more specifically in terms of locations. Then we had the fire department, we had the siding, and then we had about the ridge cap shingles, which obviously we've taken care of. And then we also had about the highway department, that roof over that salt shed, the back salt shed that was leaking, but we did some patching repairs to slow it down. So I could, include all those items that were in there last year. I could include a few other things, but Becky suggested when I asked her about it, we should ask for $40,000 again. And that's right, Becky, you were going to double check on our 40 because
Yeah, there's only 30 in the account right now, and I will follow up with the account when she's in tomorrow. She's been on vacation. so-
okay, because I had looked back to our earlier minutes from when we were talking about that, and it stated, 30 from town and 10 from somewhere else. That was about as specific, but so any thoughts on this request?
So our balance right now is at $30,000, Becky?
Yes.
Okay.
So, and then when you say request 40, so we get another 40 on top of the 30? Or 4
No.
total?
It's just that there should have been 40 added to the account, and there's only 30 was added. I think the free cash, they at some point got nixed by the FinCom. But I was taken by, I'm not sure what happened. I have to find out. That's why I'm gonna talk to Gail and see if she has anything in her records to show us what happened.
But does that answer your question, Jeff? So we
No.
have, I think what Jeff was asking, so we have 30, we should have 40. But we're going to ask for another 40.
Right.
Yeah, so then, if we don't spend any money, we'd have 80.
Is that what you're saying,
Well-
Becky?
What? Yeah, if you don't spend anything this year, you'll only have 70 until we recoup the other 10. But
Okay.
but I could imagine 70 is going to go very fast too. But when you don't spend during the year, then they lose confidence you're ever going to spend any money. So, and you've done some small projects, but I think more, and there's been, the 500 here, 500 there, a few
Yeah.
hundred here, the door, wood for the old town hall door. So but it's been minimal, just like probably under 2,000
Yeah, but we
total.
also haven't finished
The priority.
prioritizing.
What's
So
the fiscal year?
FY
FY25,
26.
No. What month does it start and end on?
we start July 1st and June 30.
right,
And we're in
Oh.
fiscal 25.
So there's still plenty of time to spend.
It won't be hard.
It's not hard.
we have 6 months.
Well, 6 months to commit money that we can bid out too, so.
Right.
We,
Right. Well, I think asking for another 40 is not bad. I think that's fine.
And there
Okay.
might be, by the time you start reviewing the priority list, you might find, if you're doing a roof, get good estimates on that and add, those projects could potentially eat up all your money. Depending
Yep.
what roof it is.
mhm.
Yeah, well, Jeff had gotten one verbal estimate for that roof at the fire department, over a year ago, and that was for 25,000 for that.
Who
Not the
was that
fire
with,
department,
Jeff?
the highway
Highway,
department.
the
I'm
salt
sorry,
shed,
highway department,
salt, yeah.
the
Salt
salt shed area.
Yeah.
That the building section that's behind the main highway department building.
Mhm.
Oh, we're thinking about re-roofing that now?
Yeah,
No,
because
no.
the old skylights that we'll put in there will deteriorate going forward. And rather than replace them, we probably would do something either like we did with the dam keeper shed, I assume, but just go over the existing roof as is to save some money. I don't know if that's correct, Jeff. Or to take the existing roof off and replace it with a new one. Was that the bid for
We were going to
25?
take it off and replace it with a
Okay.
new one.
Well, we did a patch, a Russ and Steve patch the last time.
Right.
And we'd like to get a 30-year roof out of it was our goal. 30+ year.
But based on the work we've done so far on our priority list, I'm not sure that's not at the top of the priorities.
No.
After
But-
seeing the electrical to town hall.
Becky, when is the last date that the finance committee has to do these numbers that we give them? Look at us.
They'd
Look at
like
the
to have
numbers.
it by November 1st.
That's tomorrow.
Friday.
And it won't be accepted past February 1st.
For capital, right. You have to
Right.
submit before February 1st. Because some members read the rule books. The year that the school came with their alarm on the 12th hour. And I encouraged them because it was an emergency. They
Yeah,
really,
it was all the cameras and everything else. They were going to use monies that were for educational purposes, and they shouldn't have. And that's why we voted to get it on the ballot. That they should, it was an emergency situation and not
Yep.
use educational monies for security.
Well,
yep,
if we have to have a number by tomorrow, then let's go with 40.
And with a sentence saying that as once the priority list is complete, you will be outlining a number of projects every year.
Yeah,
Yep.
Well, I mean, I could just modify what I sent last year, taking out the projects that we've dealt with and leave those in there as examples of some of the projects.
And
Yeah,
you
but-
could probably do a quick look at the spreadsheet to come out with a few more and
yeah, I would put some in to,
fluff it
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and come up with a, what did Anna say, $150 a square foot on a roof is a good one.
I'm not going to spend that kind of time on
Oh,
this.
okay.
Okay. I mean, we had the verbal estimate of 25,000. I'm
Yeah.
going to just leave that. I'm not going to try and, estimate this with any precision. We came up just last time, just talking about it. We threw some numbers at it, and I'm going to use those. And I could, one of the things I was thinking of possibly adding is in both Town Hall and Old Town Hall, there's the electrical panels are quite antiquated.
Yep.
And I mean, there's a fuse box in each Old Town Hall and Town Hall. And, I could see having those systems upgraded. And then in the fire department and the highway department, the electrical receptacles throughout in the engine bays and then in the work areas at the highway department, none of those are ground faulted. So I would just throw that in as a bundle, all those things.
Yep,
And,
that's great.
none of the outlets are ground faulted, or is there a ground fault back at the switch?
No, they're not. There's no ground fault on.
Oh,
Now, I haven't been in the highway department to look at the new panel box, but I remember talking with Steve Sullivan or him talking about it, and I don't think that was done when they had the new panel put in.
okay.
They
Yeah, I
didn't
think
put it in the ground?
Pardon?
It's not grounded still?
No, it's grounded, but there's a specific type of, it's either at the receptacle or in the electrical panel. It's a ground fault circuit interrupter. It looks for a very slight disturbance in current flow. And if it picks it up, it trips the circuit. They're required in bathrooms, kitchens, any wet use location, but also wherever you are standing on concrete, you are grounded potentially. So all those, anything that's outside.
Yep. Well,
So I was just thinking, throwing a number at, electrical upgrades in both those locations and the ground faults throughout. I was just going to throw 10,000 at it.
10, 15,000.
at 4 different locations?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. It's basically receptacles in the highway department and the fire department. And then it's upgrade, I forget how many sub panels in in Old Town Hall, in Town Hall.
There's like 4 or 5.
And a number of those given, like one of them, that's right, down in the meeting room, that's a Pushmatic, which is not a very good panel. And then there's the fuse box that's in the hallway outside Becky's office. But there's other upgrades.
Something I just looked at the spreadsheet. You can also add there that town hall, we don't have any smoke carbon detectors in the original building, so that could be all wired in at the same time, and you could fluff the number to 15 to 20 to put the smoke detectors in town hall.
Okay.
The other thing at town hall is we need to remove the the pulleys, the fire alarm pulleys that aren't connected to anything.
Is that
The
all?
old style that used to spread ink on you when you pulled them when you were in elementary school.
Yep.
How do you know?
I don't know. I just remember something.
I don't think that's true.
Yep, he pulled it.
Only once.
So how much money are you gonna put down for the electrical? Because I think it ought to be higher than 10.
Yep.
Mm.
15
I
to 20?
Yeah,
Okay.
We had the
Right.
elevator repair guys in this week. I mean, last week, and the elevator is now shut down.
because
Because when the fire alarm people came last, trying to figure out why the recall didn't work, they left the fire alarm disconnected from the system.
okay.
So now I've had the fire alarm come back and connect it to the system, but now I need to get the inspectors back, and they don't usually come back for 30 days. So I've got to find out what they can do for me ahead of that.
And who services the elevator? Bay
It's
State?
Associated Elevator.
Oh, okay.
Originally, we used them because there was a resident who worked for them, but he no longer works for them.
Mhm.
Our assistant electrical inspector works for an elevator company. A union one. I forget the name.
Hmm.
I see his truck all the time when I walk my dog. And who is the fire alarm people?
Northeast Fire Alarm. I think it's Northeast.
I think in the future, the building committee should have a representative when things are inspected, so we can turn around and tell them, no, you can't do that. Leave an alarm. You know, I think or coordinate better.
You mean when yeah, because I had been asking a lot of questions when they had come out.
Yeah.
I hadn't realized in the elevator separate room, he had left it disconnected.
Right. But now we know, but I think if we have a few more people from the buildings committee that go out and do these inspections, we can be a little more adamant about how we want things left. And
Yeah, well,
in the future, just a thought.
I think I hear a volunteer.
And I got an
Okay.
assistant who just spoke up, who knows all the rules better than I do.
the fire chief comes to the fire alarm inspections too. He has to turn the alarms on and off.
Yeah. Okay.
Speaking of the fire department, there's a motion sensor light that's above the entry to the fire department, which is malfunctioned. And I talked to Len about it, and I thought, well, I would feel comfortable getting one and putting a new one in, but then I thought, you know, should since I'm not a licensed electrician, uh, should I take that kind of project on?
No.
That's
No.
what I thought.
And the other thing is, the other day I went to
burning
town
down the
hall.
fire station.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
the volunteer polling station. The other thing is, I don't know if it's still on, Becky, but there was a light also on at town hall when I went on the other day. It was on during the day, like the light sensor burned out. When you're going in the back door, it's the one on the left.
Okay.
So Steve, and when you say the entrance to the fire department, which one? Which
It-
entrance?
the red door between the two sections of rotted siding on the front. You know,
Yeah.
it's not one of the vehicular doors.
Right, yeah. Okay.
It's on the roadside, the door that,
Person, a person door.
the person door, yes.
Okay, all right.
For the meeting?
Okay, so we should probably move on. Jeff and I met with, what was the roofer's name? Slate Repair?
It's the one out of Ludlow,
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Slate Repair.
something
Uh,
like that.
And they gave us an estimate and they put us on on their list. They said it was like 6 to 8 weeks out. And we just thought that it would be good to have a committee vote on this.
Okay.
Their estimate was, if I remember correctly, $750 for 2 people for 4 hours. And then after that, it's I think $49 per person per hour. Does that
Okay.
sound right? And they had a drone and he inspected the roof with the drone. We talked about it. They seemed pretty good. So we okayed it.
Correct.
We thought it'd be good that we vote on that as
Yep.
to approve that. So do I hear a motion that we accept the bid from Slate Repair?
I motion that we accept the bid from Slate Repair, looking to be about $1,000 when done, plus or minus.
I'll second.
All in favor? Again,
Aye.
Quackenbush,
Uh,
down the side. Okay, last thing Becky said, I think we got a few more minutes. Yeah.
we have 6
Um,
minutes.
So, in dealing with the report, I'm starting to go through things at the elementary school. And I guess the question is, do we, we have the place for photos in the report. Do we think that photos are really that important? And, if we put a photo in, like I do something, I take a photo of a condition, for instance, the shingles on the dam keeper's roof. And then you put that in there, Frank, and then we have to take another photo, and then you have to take that one out and put another one in. And, are people, say, on the select board going to be looking at photos that much?
I think on major things, yes. And my concern isn't as much as the select board is the finance committee. Bob Groves historically didn't spend a lot of money and on things, and he's on the finance committee. And I think that giving major things, pictures for major things, if it is in a joint meeting and we bring up that picture, we can stress that, yes, we need to replace the fuse panel because it's a screw-in old type and it's obsolete, and sell it to the select board, and then not have someone in the finance committee say, well, it hasn't broken now, so why, it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I think on major things, it's worthwhile having that picture. I don't think we have to do everything.
Okay, well, maybe what I'll ask you to do is you decide on things you want photos of, and I'll send you those photos.
Okay.
But currently,
Yeah, I think there's a couple of major things, and we send them this report hopefully in January. I think that was our date or something. That when they look at it, they can click on 1 or 2 pictures. They're not going to go through the whole report, but the ones that click on and that we want to show that the major rot, we fix some things that they can't. That's in their face, rather than saying, well, if you want, you can come on out, we all meet at town hall and I'll show you the old fuse box, that type of thing. It's kind of like we've done this much work, believe in the amount of work we've done, this is why we're saying we need to do it, and making it undisputable.
Actually, I was just thinking, would you be amenable to, when you look through it, you find something, you go take a photograph? Because I've seen your photographs and I think they're
Yeah.
quite good.
I can do all that, yes.
Okay. All right. Because I went through the report today and I think I've moved, before we were going to have photographs and what repair was done in the same column,
Right,
but now that's really history.
right.
So I think, taken anything that was in there that was a written comment and moved it into history.
Mhm. I've seen, yep,
Okay.
good.
All right. So we're down to 2 minutes. You want to go at 10 of, right, Becky?
You're muted, Becky. So
Yes, please.
when's Becky's last day?
Next Friday, the 8th of November.
So for our next meeting, how do we get a meeting scheduled?
Um,
Well, I can schedule it. How do we get the Zoom link?
That's what I really meant. Yeah.
then we will have a new interim person that will teach how to do that. Well, actually, I'm going to teach Abby. So if the interim is busy, Abby works in the mornings, 25 hours a week. I'll teach Abby to do that. She's our new admin secretary. Will I teach Abby to do that? I'll have to, it's still not 100% determined until I sit down with the interim town administrator. The second thing we're hoping, once we find the right version, I've been attempting to put, like, the new system hopefully will mean that I can put Stephen's email address in the Zoom information when I post it, and then he'll be able to open the meeting
Oh,
without,
great.
Yeah,
too much fuss. And that's what I was trying to make it work the last couple of weeks, but I haven't made it work yet, but Melissa had another idea. So we're going to work on that and hopefully get you guys not waiting around for anybody else.
Right.
fantastic.
Okay.
Well, as myself, I'd like to thank you with working with you, Becky, on the buildings committee. It's been wonderful crawling in attics and walking around buildings with you and everything. So thank you for your services.
Thank you. Thank you,
I
Frank.
will ditto that. Thank you, Becky.
Thank
Good
you.
luck with those people down by the river.
The riverboat.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
I
They're good crews down there. Good people.
think it would be good to have another meeting in 2 weeks. That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to modify this request, future potential capital request, and get it to him tomorrow.
Well,
No,
Okay.
I have a day, I have 2 days, right? Tomorrow's the 31st.
Correct.
So
Okay,
next meeting will be the 13th, right?
Yep.
do I hear a motion to close the meeting?
I make a motion to close the meeting.
I
Second,
second. I
all
second.
in favor, McGinn,
Aye.
Quackenbush,
All right.
down the side. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks for attending, Phil.
Thank you,
Yep,
Phil.
thanks for having me.
Good to meet you, Phil.
You too.
Night.
Bye.
Good night.
Oh, I can't find the off. Bye.